Hello everybody and welcome back to All the Mods 10. In the previous episode, we got started with bees and we've basically gotten everything that we need to actually continue to gather resources in the future. Now, in between episodes, I've kind of been going pretty hard with our designs. So without further ado, here is the building that I designed, aka Hive. And we'll get to that acronym here in a moment. But yeah, this is what I've built in between episodes. It's sort of supposed to be a high-tech facility that's sort of focused around bees and like bee research and stuff like that. So yeah, here we go as we go inside of the interior here. Yeah, I went pretty hard on the design here, I think. I really like how this looks. I did some little custom trees here using spruce fencing, as well as these are sticks actually, and they're just being used as like sort of smaller branches. We have a nice little river running through here as well. This basically supplies water to the entire facility. And yeah, here are the beehives. I've set these up. These ones are, I believe, the canvas, yeah, advanced canvas beehives. These are basically just the regular oak beehives, just surrounded in paper. And yeah, we have the expansion boxes on the bottom. I just like how that looks a little bit better. It looks a little more like a beehive. But yeah, we have all of these up and running now. There is one issue that we need to solve today, and that's actually figuring out a way to get all of these items out of these beehives and into some sort of central storage system. We're not going to be doing AE up here quite yet. I do want to move an AE system. I'm probably going to make an entire building, sort of a central hub up here for applied energistics, because that can get pretty big, especially with auto crafting. Yeah, I think we'll have a few drawers up here. By the way, down here is where we have our breeding chambers, our centrifuge, our incubator, and I even went through and upgraded our, I think we had emerald to obsidian furnace here, and that's just been producing a ton of power. I also figured out that this charging station from Charging Gadgets actually is here in this pack, so I've just been using it to basically store my jetpack and my batteries. You might also notice that we now have coal combs actually here in the centrifuge producing coal. And that's because I've actually added a new set of coal bees. And I just realized I'm missing one, but that's alright. This produces quite a lot of regular coal. And the reason we needed regular coal was actually for the charging station. If we look up the recipe for it, see if we can do this real quick. It required a block of coal, so I just needed that. I was kind of getting a little lazy, didn't want to explore the world and find actual coal, because charcoal doesn't work for it. But yeah, it definitely works in our obsidian furnace here, which has been supplying power to all of our machines here. And then we just have this barrel full of all of our other bees that aren't really doing anything right now. We should probably get most of these guys working. I'm not sure what some of them actually produce, but we'll figure out a place for all of them. We have a ton of hives here. By the way, this goes to about here, so we're probably about 50% of the beehives are filled, I would say. This one here is producing moss blocks, which is pretty nice. These are just quarry bees, surprisingly. Kind of a weird bee to produce moss. But yeah. So like I said, Hive does stand for something. Highly Integrated Vector Ecosystem. It's mostly just techno mumbo jumbo, but the important part is the highly integrated ecosystem. This is an ecosystem that is going to be entirely integrated into the rest of our system. So I thought that was kind of a clever name for it. Yeah, it's not the best name, but it works. So in today's episode, we're actually gonna get started with some actual technology. as well as some machines, which means we need to get started with the mechanism mod. Mechanism is one of my all-time favorite mods, as it adds a ton of different machines that can all be upgraded into different variations and basically be completely overpowered in the end. But it will take a ton of resources as well as a bunch of planning in order to make mechanism work. And it's also gonna require a ton of power. And by the way, this is the second floor of our hive here. This will be used in the future if we expand into either more bees or if we do mystical agriculture. This is, oh yeah, I forgot there's no elevator to the third floor. This does, by the way, just lead directly into this tree here. But yeah, there is a third floor as well, all the way up here. And I don't know what I'm gonna do up here, but yeah, this entire building is all about producing resources essentially. And so on these little sort of, I don't even know what to call these things. I'm gonna have a few different ways of producing power, sort of as we go through like mechanism and even the power mod. I want to basically hollow these out and put the generators or the reactors inside, and then have sort of a windmill from the create mod on top. That way it kind of looks like we're producing power in a clean way instead of, you know, using coal or oil or whatever we need. Obviously there are a few clean burning resources in this mod pack that we could do. We could go like nuclear, with, I think, bigger reactors is in this, if I'm not mistaken. Let's actually double check that. Oh, it looks like we have extreme reactors in here. And this basically allows you to create a nuclear power plant. So we might get into that eventually, but what we're going to do right now is to actually work towards making solar generators, which will basically produce electricity as long as the sun is out. But in order to craft these, we are actually going to need to get into mechanism itself first. So I do think I want to start off today by making a little building here on this peninsula, and that is where we'll actually begin with our power generation as well as place our mechanism machines for now. So it looks like I'm going to have to get to building once again. All right, and here is our first power station. This is Twist, which stands for Turbine Wind Integrated Station for Transmission. Uh, yeah, it kind of works. So yeah, we're just using the create mod to sort of move the wind turbine on the top. These are wool blocks, and I believe this is actually a max powered windmill. I believe it has more than, I think it's 180 something that you need in order to actually build a max speed turbine. But this is not the main source of the power that we're going to be using for this. But I think to get started, we are going to actually use it to produce power for our machines, just to kind of get power up over there. So I'm gonna craft probably 9 alternators. I have no idea how many we actually need to get the most out of our power situation, but 9 should do the trick. All right, so we have our 9 alternators now, and yeah, that is kind of a pain in the butt kind of a recipe, but we got it done. So let's go ahead and bring our power down from our windmill. I think that should be okay there. Now we need to spread the power among all of our alternators. So I think 9 of these gearboxes I think will work. Let's see here. Oh no, that's correct there. And there. Now unfortunately these won't go out on the sides. I wonder what the best way to do this would be. So we got one there and there. And one there. We can at least do 3 here. So I think something like this should work. There we go, and we have... Ooh, all of them together overstresses the machine. Interesting. Okay. So the minimum speed that these need to rotate at is 32. So I do have a rotation speed controller here now. I'm not entirely sure. I might try it with just a single alternator at the maximum speed we can possibly go. And just see how much power... Wow, that overstresses this thing. That's very interesting because this is a full windmill, which means that it's extremely powerful. Or should be, at least. Let's try 126. That'll work. 182, wow. So somewhere in between here is where it breaks. I guess 126 is probably our max. 28 maybe. Yeah, 128 with just a single one. And this will produce, it looks like 180, I'm assuming that's FE per tick, which is not great. And with 2, each of these are just producing 90. So it doesn't really, it looks like it doesn't matter how many alternators you have. I guess I never knew that. That's something worth it to note. So I guess I'll put it up to 180 now. Or what was it again? Sorry, I completely forgot which number it was. It had to be 180, right? Oh, I was way off. 126. Okay. So that's producing now 177? I'm not sure why that's 128. Right. There we go. That should be the max for our alternator. In any case, though, I think it's about time we actually got started with our goal today, and that's basically getting started with mechanism. So I want to get sort of going towards the basic energy cube. That way we can actually store a little bit of power. So we're going to need a couple of energy tablets, which means we're going to need infused alloy. So really it just comes down to needing a metallurgic infuser. And I basically already have everything that I need for the metallurgic infuser here at home. So we can go ahead and place that down here, and that should begin to charge. We do need to output this though. And popping back and forth between the workshop and up there is getting a little bit annoying. I should probably start to work on getting some wireless access to our applied energistic system hooked up pretty soon. So we can just click that and that will output the energy into our metallurgic infuser. By the way, I do like to actually make a couple of these energetic metallurgic infusers. That's because we have a few different recipes that require them. So to make infused alloy, which is basically the basic material for this mod, we need to put redstone and copper, it used to be iron, but it is copper now, into the metallurgic infuser, and that will produce an infused alloy. And while that's working, we can also make our basic control circuits. These are made in the metallurgic infuser as well, but it's just redstone and osmium. So we can go ahead and get those started. And we have our first infused alloys. By the way, Mechanism does have this really easy way of checking how much energy your machine is actually using. If you just hover over this thing in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll tell you exactly how much the machine is using and how much is needed. So currently we're using 20 FE per tick, and we need 20 FE per tick. Nice, so we're basically keeping up. Yeah, it doesn't look like our alternator is struggling at all, and both of them are staying pretty much full. So here we go. We also have some basic control circuits now. Oh man, and I just clicked accept all uh, on my quest book, and I got 2 nether stars. What the heck? I wish I would have known which quest that was from. That's kind of crazy. Let's see what quests can actually give that to us. I'm not sure. So what I was just going to quickly mention is that the quest book does have a quest line for, this is power production, but I believe there's also a mechanism section here as well. So we're going to be sort of following along with this quest line as we sort of progress through mechanism. So next, I think we want to work on steel. This isn't a requirement for getting our power, but it is kind of an easy step to do in all the mods 10. If you're just using mechanism though, it can be kind of burdensome. So in this pack, we have a few recipes that we could do to actually produce steel. We could do 2 iron ingots and 2 coal, but I think probably the easiest way is actually just crafting steel dust. And we can do that just with regular iron dust and 4 coal. It's really not too bad of a combination. And I guess it kind of depends on how much iron versus coal that you have. If you have a little more iron, you could actually do this recipe instead. It's less coal overall, but a little bit more iron. And it doesn't actually require you to hammer down some iron, so it's not too bad of a recipe either. Oh, and I completely did not even notice that one of our quests gave us a basic energy cube. So we can put that down. I think it's full as well. That is kind of insane. It can store 1.6 million FE. And what we can do with this is we can put it right next to our alternator and then just have this output like that instead. That way we have a little bit more of a energy buffer. And definitely don't forget to output off of the left side. What you can do is, I'm not sure how to close this. There we go. You click side config and make sure that left is just set to output and right is set to input. All right, and it turned out I already had some steel ingots in my AE system, so we can just go ahead and complete that as well as this one apparently, because I guess we've gotten steel casings from one of the quests. So the steel casings will allow us to make the more advanced machines here. So we could, for example, make the energized smelter or the enrichment chamber. The enrichment chamber will basically allow you to double ores, though it is a little bit of a process. So I kind of want to focus on the ore processing in mechanism now. There are a few different tiers that we can do, but what we're going to start off with is the really very simple version, which is just to combine an enricher and a smelter. So we can craft an enrichment chamber as well as an energized smelter. And we should be able to, yeah, we should be able to upgrade these immediately into the basic version. That's just a tier above what they were. So we now have this quest done, and we get a little bit of ore to actually process. And we can also claim these rewards up here. Nice. Next up, I do want to craft an energy tablet real quick here. And in fact, I might as well do 2 of them. That way we can actually craft a basic energy cube. I know that we already have one, but it's just nice to have extras, and it allows us to complete these quests. And there we go. Oh wow, we even got an advanced energy cube from that. That's pretty nutty. The quests from this give you some pretty crazy stuff. So I'll get my advanced energy cube down. This can store 6 million FE. Let's get this just right here, I suppose. And we'll need to make sure that this is outputting. And, whoops. Uh-oh, which way is it facing now? I'm not too sure. But we can check. Looks like the top is that now. But that should work. Yep, that's still transferring it, looks like. By the way, these energy tablets are pretty nice. They will actually just completely keep energy inside of them. And I thought they could be used to charge items in your inventory, but I might be wrong. Let me take my jetpack off. Is that charging it? It doesn't look like it. I'm not too sure how these work. But now I kind of want to get started on the cables from this mod. These are going to be a little bit better than the energy pipes from pipes. And we can also immediately upgrade these into the advanced universal cables. These ones can transfer 51,000 FE per tick, whereas these regular ones are 3,000 FE per tick. And from doing just a little bit of research, I'm not 100% certain if this is true or not, but I think the energy pipes from the pipes mod by default only transfer 256 FE per tick. So they're a little bit slower unless you give them some upgrades. But now we can go ahead and replace our pipes here, and they should work pretty nice. And they look pretty cool as well, as you can kind of see the energy inside of each of the cables. So I think I'm just going to bring these cables kind of around the outside. This is going to be, I think, temporary. I might dig these down below into the ground. But for now, I do want to get my basic smelting factory down, as well as my enriching factory. So by default, it is set to off for the auto sort. I just want to turn that on and put all of our items in here. So if we put iron ore inside, this will slowly produce into, let's see here, it's almost there. There we go, into iron dust. And we just want that to output into our basic smelting factory. And we want that to, let's see here, to input. I think we have auto eject off. There we go. So that'll begin to actually start smelting the iron dust down into iron ingots. By the way, these machines are very loud. So the sort of next tier of ore processing is actually going to be involving making a little bit of chemicals. We're going to need to use the electrolytic separator as well as a purifier in order to separate oxygen and hydrogen. And for this process, we are going to need to make advanced control circuits, which are just the basic control circuits mixed with infused alloy. We can make a few of these. There we go. We'll also need to make an enrichment chamber, which can then be upgraded into the purification chamber. The electrolytic core is going to require a couple of osmium dust, iron dust, and gold dust, so we need to make some osmium dust real quick. There we go. And a little bit of iron dust, it looks like, as well. Oops. There we go. There's our electrolytic core. And here's our electrolytic separator. It's also important to note that the smelting factory can basically smelt anything, and it will actually smelt 3 items at a time. And when we fully upgrade this thing, it is pretty insane how fast it can just tear through a stack of items. And it looks like for this quest, we do need to make the electric pump. I was just going to use the sink and some pipes for this, but let's see here. I actually already have it tagged there. Steel casing. And I don't know if we're going to be able to make the reinforced alloy. Let's see here. That is diamond in the metallurgic infuser with infused alloy. That's not too bad, actually. We are pretty low on diamonds, so I think I'll get some of these processed soon. All right, and I've made a third metallurgic infuser. This one will be for making our advanced alloys, which, oh, it looks like we might need diamond dust first. Let me look into this real quick. So, how do we get diamond in here? Yeah, we need diamond dust first. Okay. That shouldn't be too big of a problem. How do we solve that through... we can use the enrichment chamber, which I'll just get set up over here. I had to make a new one. but we should be able to now process our diamond into diamond dust. Now, we could just use a hammer and smash it down, but I think this way is just going to be a little bit better. This also makes enriched diamond, which I'm not entirely sure what the difference is, but we should be able to use it in this metallurgic infuser and combine it with our infused alloy, and that makes reinforced alloy. Nice. And there's our electric pump that we'll probably not be using. If it can transfer water faster, we might use it, but we'll see. By the way, we are also going to need a crusher for this entire process here. So now we can return here, and we'll get all of these machines set up over here. So if we go ahead and follow the quest line here, we can actually find out that we need to separate out hydrogen from oxygen. And we do that using the electrolytic separator. So I'm just going to place my sink down here in the ground. And we'll try the electric pump. I've never actually used this one before. Let's see if that can pull... not enough energy. Okay. Are we just not getting energy over here? Or, oh, I think it needs to be maybe on the top? No. I'm not sure where this connects to. That's kind of interesting. Let's... Ah, okay. I think I figured it out, actually. So the electric pump needs to be below the electrolytic separator. Okay, so now if we place our sink below... unfortunately... Yeah, there's no water getting pumped out of here. So I'm just going to use the kitchen sink and a fluid pipe. This should keep up. If not, yeah, it looks like it's keeping up. Next up, we need the purification chamber, and that should go right next to the electrolytic separator. So this is sort of where we're going to be inputting our ores. For example, I have some deep slate ore here, and that will begin to use the oxygen to purify the gold, and that will turn into gold clumps. The clumps are then sent into the crusher, which we can have our purification chamber set to auto eject, and that will begin to crush our gold clump into dirty gold dust, which is then fed back into our enriching factory when we auto eject, just like that. I don't know why sometimes these machines won't actually auto sort. They'll put all of them into here. It shouldn't matter too much. I think it's still going to process 3 at a time. But that will then automatically eject the dirty gold dust into the basic smelting factory, and that will produce gold ingots. Nice. By the way, you do want to set your electrolytic separator from idle to dumping excess here on the left side. You don't necessarily want to do that on the right side. The reason that we do this is because it produces both oxygen and hydrogen, but we're not actually using any hydrogen. We're only using the oxygen. So if it fills up with hydrogen, it will stop working completely. So as a test, I'm going to put 10 iron ore through the system, and hopefully that'll go in. Let's see. I'm not entirely sure why that barrel isn't working, but yeah, we can actually give this a test. So we're going to turn 10 iron ore, and that turned into 45 iron ingots, which is absolutely crazy. We basically 4 times the output of our iron ore. So I think I now want to take a step back and work on some things in applied energistics, mainly getting our wireless crafting terminal up. So in order to craft this, we are going to need quite a bit of Plxgue crystal. Now, a way that we can actually do this rather than doing the in-world transformation is actually by building the reaction chamber. And to make this, we are going to need Plxgue dust, so I'm just crushing some Plxgue crystals in the brand new crusher that we just made. And by the way, we're just getting nether quartz from our centrifuge here. We have a crystalline B, and we can actually make the powered centrifuge now that we've gotten into mechanism. Just like that. And I'll get this down here again, and that is so much faster than before. And we can even add some upgrades in here to make it even faster. I'll probably just take the ones from one of our breeders. There we go. Nice. So that should be producing a good amount of nether quartz for us. And I think that's everything that we needed for the reaction chamber. Nice. So now instead of throwing our items in the world, we can just place them in here. And we do need water for this, I do believe. So I'll just get a sink down right behind it. There we go. And that should now start the reaction chamber. The reaction chamber can be used to create a lot of different items. What we're going to be using it for right now is the Plxgue crystals, wherever they just went. Here we go. And you might also notice that it does create a ton more of these Plxgue crystals than we would normally get. Really, the only downside of it is that it does require 16 items at a time to create all of those. So it should start now. There we go. So now I can craft the Plxgue pearl and the quartz fiber, which allows us to create the wireless receiver. Next up, I'll need an ME terminal, and we're going to need 8 of these energy cells to make a dense energy cell. And here's our dense energy cell, our ME crafting terminal, and that's everything that we needed to craft our wireless crafting terminal. Next up, to actually access our system, we're going to need to craft the wireless access point. So we just need to craft another wireless receiver, and we can craft our wireless access point. I'm just going to stick this somewhere on our system. We'll sort this all out later. So now we can right click, and when we put our wireless access terminal there, it will actually link. So now that it's linked, we can just right click anywhere and access the entirety of our system. I'm going to have to sort of rearrange how things are. Let's go sort by number of items descending, and there we go. Nice. Now, the only problem with this is that it is very short range by default. We can get, let's see here, how close can we get? Basically right out our front door, and it stops working. So to actually change the range of our system, we need to craft these wireless boosters. We'll need some ender dust for this, so I'm just crushing some ender pearls in the crusher. So we should now be able to craft our wireless boosters. And I'm going to make 4 of them, and that's for a very specific reason. These can actually be upgraded into these infinity range boosters. Now, one of these will actually make it so that we can access our storage from anywhere within the overworld dimension. But we can actually upgrade that into a dimension card down the road that will actually allow us to access our storage from any dimension. And we're going to need 4 cards for that, so might as well just make 4 of them right now. And we can go ahead and get these inside of our wireless access point. And now our range is a measly 24 meters. By the way, without these cards, it is 16. And by the way, meters is basically just blocks. So, yeah, those 4, did that even do anything? Did I remember to put them back in? I feel like it's less now. Oh, it's less because we're actually out of power now. I think this pushed us over our limit, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think the system here is gonna have to be upgraded sooner rather than later. But yeah, our power situation overall is very bad, so I think in the next episode, we're gonna try to resolve that as quickly as we can so we can get our AE2 system back online. And yeah, I think what we're gonna do is get into mechanism generators, or maybe even the Power mod. I'm leaning more towards Power though, as there's some pretty unique generators within that mod. But I think that's all the time we're gonna have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.